Hi, Dr. Brian Beckner, the Profitable Practice Creator and the chiropractic profession's #1 authority on trust-based new patient generation and practice building. I'm sitting here in my car, want to shoot a quick video, and the purpose of this video was to talk about an experience that I just had in a local restaurant. Now, I just finished up an 8-hour marketing seminar, and I decided to come to an old Italian restaurant that I grew up not far from, and grab a meal and grab one of the 5 books that I just purchased at this seminar and sit down and do a little reading, gain some knowledge, and get a nice meal. And I want to talk about not just my meal, but I want to talk about this restaurant specifically. And this is not just any restaurant, by the way. This restaurant is named Luigis D Italia restaurant. It's an Italian restaurant that's here in Southern California. And it's special because it was featured on the television show called Kitchen Nightmares with Chef Gordon Ramsey. If you've never seen it, Google it. Chef Gordon Ramsey is a very famous chef, goes into these restaurants that are run by families that are struggling on the verge of bankruptcy and helps them to reinvent and transform their business. One of the things I always find interesting whenever I watch these types of reality shows, and I love reality television from the standpoint of shows like Hotel Impossible and Kitchen Nightmares and chef shows, only because I love to eat and I love to cook. And I also like to watch them from the marketing, business, and sales aspect of things. But one of the things that these shows miss the mark on always is, even after they've come in and regutted the restaurant, reinvented their menu, is they never leave them with an automated, systematized marketing plan or system. In other words, great meals, great food, but yet no way to bring new customers into the restaurant other than good food. Well, being good and having good food is not good enough. Now, how does this relate to your practice? Well, I want to talk about how it relates to your practice on a number of levels. Let me just talk about this real quick. First off, in your practice, in this economic climate, people are very skeptical, and it's all about building trust with these individuals. And it all stems from the way that you market your practice. We talk a lot about trust-based sales and marketing with a lot of my members. I won't go into a lot of detail about that, but the reality is it allows you to build and nurture relationships with people that over time motivates them, moves them, and causes them to want to choose you over and above all other solutions, all other doctors, all other services or products that might be at their fingertips, and seek you out for your expertise and your help, and then want to actually exchange and pay you money for your services. That's an important thing. But let me go back here to the restaurant just for a second. A couple things I want to talk about specific to my experience. First off, sadly, but the experience was not good. Even after being featured on this television show and having their whole restaurant be exposed to the world, if you will, or at least within the United States, they lacked tremendously of what they need to be doing in order for this restaurant to survive. And quite frankly, I'd be surprised in the next 5 years if this restaurant's still around, which is a shame because this restaurant's been here for, gosh, over 30-some years, if I'm not mistaken. So first thing about the experience is I walked in, no one at all at the front counter, no hostess, no one, nowhere to be seen, no waiters on the floor. The restaurant nearly empty, maybe 2 tables, a total of maybe 4 to 5 people total in the restaurant at the time that I showed up at around 4:30, 4:45. Granted, not necessarily rush hour for dinner, but still no one there to greet me, okay? Sat there for several minutes, and finally, what looked to be the chef came out from behind the kitchen, grabbed the menu, really didn't, acknowledge me all that friendly, and walked me over to a table that I then asked to be moved to a different one because it wasn't a table I wanted to sit at, and he kind of seemed like he was a little bit irritated that I asked that. He sat me down in a corner and kind of left me there to fend for myself. Never asked me at that moment if he could get me anything to drink or start me off with. Just kind of walked away. And I sat there for a good 15 minutes. Now, if I wouldn't have had a book and I wouldn't have been so hungry, I probably would have got up and walked out of the restaurant. But I sat there because I really wanted to just get a grasp of what had happened since they shot this episode on this television show. So finally, a waiter came out, and by the way, the waiter was one of the owners, who was not dressed in any kind of uniform, was just dressed in his everyday street clothes, not very friendly. And I know this gentleman only from the amount of times I've eaten here over the years. Took my order and then just left me. And it took another 20 minutes to actually get my meal. By the time the food arrived, I was quite hungry, and the food quality was it was okay. I mean, it was good, but it wasn't great. I wasn't in awe of the meal that I had. Now, beyond that, let me just go back to your practice here for just a second. I expect to get a good meal, just like patients expect certain things from you in your practice as a doctor. They expect certain things, and it's not just enough anymore in this economic climate to just give your customers, your clients, your patients what they expect. You need to go above and beyond. And being good is just not good enough. You need to be exceptional. Now, let's go back here just for a second. One of the things I want to really bring to your attention and how this relates to you is that when I left my meal, no one ever asked me my name. No one ever asked where I was from or if I was from the neighborhood. They had no idea. So they had no way to build any kind of relationship with me and start up a conversation. And with that being said, they had no system in place for capturing my contact information. They didn't give me a card to fill out that asked me for my first and last name, email address, home address, none of those things at all. I wasn't asked by the waiter, nothing. So here I sit in my car. I've left the restaurant, and quite frankly, don't plan on coming back here for quite a while unless I happen to be in the neighborhood and I'm starving. Only because it's a restaurant that I know in an area that I don't frequent often, and so if I was hungry, there's a chance I may stop by. Now, how does this relate to your practice and marketing and building of your practice? Well, first off, I want you to understand that you need to make sure or be aware or begin to recognize, I should say, that your staff is the first lines of communication with individuals, prospective patients who call your office. And the experience that they set and create, if you will, over the telephone is so important that so many chiropractors forget how important that process is. Now, let me ask you a question. Do you have a system in place for your staff that allows them to capture the complete contact information of every individual who calls your office? First and last name, telephone number, email address, home address, and office address in some cases. Why is this important? Well, first off, if you have individuals who call your office, for whatever reason, they're not ready to schedule an appointment, most chiropractic practices would let an individual hang up the phone and have no way to future market. Now, if you're investing money, and you should be investing money in marketing to get the phone to ring, if you fail to capture the contact information of a caller who hangs up, you've just lost thousands and thousands of potential revenue. I won't go into a lot of detail about that right now, but I want you to understand and bring this into perspective. What about individuals who call your office, schedule an appointment, but fail to show for the initial consultation? What do you have other than maybe a telephone number to reach out to these individuals and follow up with them who fail to show for an initial consultation? And I know that you have no-shows that show up. And get this, that a system does not mean your staff does a recall or they pick up the phone and call the patient or the prospective patient once they've missed their appointment. I've done so many consults with doctors and their staff, and we've talked about this on so many occasions and at great depth, that most of the system in 98% of chiropractic offices is that they pick up the phone 15 minutes after the prospective patient misses the appointment. If they don't answer, they leave a message saying that, you missed your appointment, we had you scheduled, please call us back. And guess what? Those individuals never call you back. And that person is long gone, lost forever, mainly because the doctor has failed, to follow up and continue to nurture and build the relationship. Now, all of that to say this, it's important that you have a system in place that allows you to automate the majority of the process, to follow up with a number of individuals, whether they're individuals that you meet at an event, whether it be a spinal screening, whether it be from a newspaper ad that someone calls your office and then fails to schedule an appointment or schedules and no-shows. A system that's mostly automated to follow up with individuals who come in and meet with you for initial consultation that don't convert to care. A system that's mainly automated to follow up, nurture, and build relationships with individuals that come in from, let's say, a lead that opts in on your website on the internet, or a landing page, if you will. Someone who comes through your blog, some of your social media channels, whatever it might be. You need to make sure that you have a system in place that's automated, okay, and allows you to continue to build deep levels of trust. And by the way, this is a big, huge point I want to make, that following up with this type of stuff just does not mean that you send the prospective patient a series of emails that all it does is pitch, and talk about how great you are and how much this individual needs you and your solution. That's not what I'm talking about. That is not what trust-based sales and marketing is all about. I won't go into a lot of the detail. I'll save that for another time. If you want more information about how I'm actually helping a very select group of doctors across the country develop trust-based relationships with prospective patients that gets them to want to choose to come in to meet with you for a consultation, and then choose to do business with you above and beyond anything else that's available to them. It's out there. Feel free to reach out to me. You can email me at info@theprofitablepracticecreator.com. You can also call us at 949-305-2072. My guarantee to you that you will never be hard-pitched, high-pressured, sold anything on any of those interactions. It's always about finding out whether or not there's even a fit. And we never assume that we're the right fit to work with just anyone who reaches out to us. So, Dr. Brian Beckner, the Profitable Practice Creator, signing off. I hope this was a valuable lesson. My stomach's full. I've got a lot of great information off the book that I was reading, and I hope that you take something valuable away from this time that we spent together on this video. Until we see you again, have a great evening, and I just wish you nothing but the best of success in your practice. Take care.